This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Radio Jamaica's Francois Sanjus dies. Veteran broadcaster Francois Sanjus died this morning at the University Hospital of the West Indies. Mr. Sanjus had been battling an illness recently. Francois Sanjus spent more than 4 decades with the RJR Gleaner Group, principally on air at the Fame and the Radio Jamaica 94 FM, as well as manager for the group's radio brands for a period. In response to his passing, the company said RJR Gleaner family expresses our deep regret, and along with the Radio Jamaica family and the Fame family, we wish his family comfort in this trying time. CEO of the RJR Gleaner Communications Group, Gary Allen, said he felt a deep sense of shock at the passing of Mr. Sanjus.
It's a deep sense of shock that I have this morning in hearing that we have lost Francois Sanjus, our morning man, our longtime RJR and Fame family member. Francois started in Fame and then moved to being general manager of all our radio services until about 5, almost 6 years ago. And then he moved on to the morning show. He has been ailing in the last couple of weeks, but we were all hoping for the best. And in fact, there were some of us who were supposed to see him later this morning. So you can imagine that this came as a tremendous shock to us hearing of his passing.
Broadcaster Paula Ann Porter Jones, with whom Mr. Sanjus hosted the Radio Jamaica morning program Sunnyside up until his passing, recounted that it was Sanjus who auditioned her to work on Fame years ago.
It was Francois auditioning me to work on Fame decades ago. And there I was thinking that I was oh so great, I can do this. And afterwards, his very kind way of pointing out the several words that I got wrong and the ways that I could have done better. And I was just so him, always teaching, but in a way that helped us to understand and not feel bad about not being the best yet, because he always put it so that there was room for growth and improvement. I think Francois' passing has rocked the nation, not just in broadcasting or entertainment where he worked, but across different spheres of Jamaican life because of what he did for us and because of how he connected with us through his show.
In a 2020 interview, Mr. Sanjus explained how he got into media despite studying physics at the University of the West Indies. His love of music, he said, had led him to start a sound system on campus with some friends.
At that time, Hall Plumber, who used to have a show on Saturday night, Disco Mania, he used to invite young guest DJs. So we applied to come and play on his show, and that was the first exposure to radio.
Mr. Sanjus said his first on-air experience happened by chance during a summer program on Fame FM, which was a brand new radio station at the time.
I went down and, went there every day and just hung around, and there was a little bit of training and learning music and hanging out in the library and things like that. One day somebody got sick and wasn't there, and I was there. And they said, you have to go on the air.
16-year-old girl charged with boyfriend's murder. A 16-year-old girl has been charged with murder following the stabbing death of her 20-year-old boyfriend on Bethel Street in Manchester on Saturday, August 27. Reports from the Mandeville police are that about 6:45 p.m., Shadane, Harriet, and the teen had a dispute. It is alleged that she used a knife to inflict a wound on his neck. He was taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The teen was held by citizens and handed over to the police. She was subsequently charged and is awaiting a court appearance. Howard Cook Primary mourning death of Vice Principal. Howard Cook Primary School in Catherine Hall, St. James, is in deep mourning over the passing of its beloved Vice Principal, Veronica Headley Jennings, just days before the start of the new school term on September 5. Headley Jennings, who was one of the school's founding teachers in 1989 and who had served as Vice Principal for 15 years, died on Sunday evening following a period of illness. She was 60 years old. The school's principal, David Scott, remembered Headley Jennings as a dedicated instructor who in a case of tragic irony was preparing to take over the role. All that she did revolved around the school, so she was practically everything to the school. She was very loved by both her parents and the students and everyone who passed through her hands. As we say, the navel string is cut here, said Scott. He added that a meeting is to be held on Tuesday with members of the school's board and representatives from the Ministry of Education to decide on the next step. Illegal gun recovered in Trelawny, teens arrested. The police are reporting that 3 teens were arrested in connection with the seizure of a firearm on Lower Harbour Street in Falmouth, Trelawny, early Monday morning. It is reported that about 1:30 a.m., a security team responded to a sensor alarm that went off in the area. The security officers reportedly saw the 3 minors walking along the roadway, acting in a manner that aroused their suspicions. They were accosted and searched. A Browning pistol with an empty magazine was allegedly found inside a knapsack they were carrying. The police were summoned and the firearm and the teens were handed over to the cops. Investigations continue. Family accuses police of murder. Slain man was on radar as a criminal. The family of a Kingston courier who was fatally shot on Marcus Garvey Drive Friday is accusing the police of killing the 21-year-old in cold blood and is demanding justice. Shamar Stewart of Almond Town, Kingston 4, was killed a day before a big cookout he was planning in his community. According to the police corporate communications unit, Stewart was killed during an alleged confrontation with the police, and a .38 revolver containing 3.38 cartridges was seized after the shooting. A video of what is believed to be the shooting incident shows a man in a blue shirt with an identification card hanging around his neck, firing several shots in a culvert. Grieving relatives at Stewart's home said Sunday that they were struggling to cope with his death and questioned the manner in which he was killed. "That are the part what grieved me the most," said his aunt Sharon Rowe. "That are no shootout, that a murder. Me no think somebody deserves so much shot. Worse we no see me in the video a fire back." However, head of the Kingston Central Police Division, Superintendent Beresford Williams, said that Stewart had been on law enforcers' radar for robberies and shootings. "In June, we picked him up for questioning for a robbery, but he was released without a charge," Williams told the news. A teary-eyed Donna Faulkner demanded to know why the police could not have arrested her son. "If him really involved in a criminal activity, him know him couldn't come to me and say that," Faulkner said. Rowe, however, said that it was rumored that Stewart was involved in a robbery. At the same time, she disclosed that her nephew was recently picked up by the police and that a woman had accused him of stealing a phone. The mother of 3 who was rushed to the hospital on Saturday after seeing the video recalled that on the day of her son's death, she had sensed that something was wrong. According to the mother, her son was a very loving person who had a soft spot for the elderly. She said prior to his death, they were both planning to open a restaurant later this year. 2 fundraising cookouts were planned, one scheduled for Saturday and another for his birthday in November. The fatal incident is being investigated by the Inspectorate and the Professional Standards Oversight Bureau and the Independent Commission of Investigations. Parents lament increased back-to-school costs. Some parents in Manchester Central say they are having challenges with school fees and the increased cost of textbooks as they prepare for the new school year. A parent who spoke with the news said the school fee was her biggest issue, but she also found the cost of textbooks extremely expensive, and so she has not yet purchased all the ones required for her child. She expressed hope that she would be able to purchase them by the start of school.
The biggest issue is the school fee. The school fee is very expensive, and I find it a big challenge, but I fight it and make my way through. I get some textbook from the school, but I have to buy some also, and they are very, very expensive. Up to now, I don't finish buy all my textbooks them, but by school to open, by God's willing, I think I will buy them.
Another parent, Yolanda Hilton, said the hike in book prices has taken a toll on her spending power. Apart from textbooks, which she admitted usually sell at a higher price, she explained that the cost of hardcover and writing books has also increased.
The main challenge is things that I found, especially for this year, it's the books. The expense of the books, especially the hardcover books, the writing books, not the textbooks, as we already know that the textbooks are expensive. But the writing books, normally they are a little bit cheaper. You could get a book for $90. Now it's like $310 for one book.
No plan to displace school bursars, says Education Ministry. The Ministry of Education says there are no plans to displace bursars from the school system. It says that the move to remove the salary payment responsibility from bursars will not affect the other duties which they currently have in schools. The Education Ministry plans to implement a new automated system whereby all teachers will be paid by the central government. Currently, some educators receive their salaries through bursars. Over the years, some teachers at these institutions have complained about late or missed salary payments. The Education Ministry says the new system is intended to enhance the efficiency in preparing salaries of teachers who are normally paid through the schools. A pilot of the planned removal of the salary payment responsibilities to the Central Ministry's operations was tested in 2 schools earlier this year and is being assessed in others. U.S. woman charged with vehicular manslaughter after mowing down Jamaican boyfriend. A woman has been charged with vehicular manslaughter after mowing down her Jamaican boyfriend with her car and killing him in the United States. It's been reported that 38-year-old Udell Burno of Maryland deliberately ran her car over her boyfriend, 40-year-old Shamato Clark. According to his Facebook page, Mr. Clark, who was from Westmoreland in Jamaica, lived in Washington, D.C. and was employed by the Department of Defense. The horrifying incident took place on August 20, around 8:45 p.m. in the Brandywine, Maryland. According to a news release, the police were notified of the incident after someone called to inform them of a person trapped under a car. When officers from the Prince George County Police Department arrived at the scene, they found Mr. Clark pinned underneath the vehicle. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.